Once upon a time, I had everything a business, a car parked in the garage, a life without any problems. But everything has changed dramatically. I was betrayed, and in the end, I lost everything. My job, money, possessions, and even the connections I once relied on. My friends disappeared. My wife took the child and left. I was left alone. To say that it was hard is an understatement. It felt like I was starting from scratch. That's when I met Zoe. I moved into a small dorm and juggled a few jobs to get by. My daughter stayed with my ex-wife, who seemed more interested in finding a new man than caring about her own child. It was only after everything fell apart that I realized how much I'd taken for granted before. Now, all I wanted was to meet a woman who would stand by me, no matter what. I dreamt of starting over, building a family, and bringing my daughter home, because her mother, in her desperate quest for a new sponsor, had completely forgotten about her. Our paths crossed by chance. Zoe worked at a pharmacy near my place. She was warm, friendly, always with a smile on her face. I saw in her someone who could be my solid foundation. I started stopping by her workplace more often, chatting with her, and walking her home in the evenings. I tried to show her I cared, in whatever small ways I could afford at the time. We swapped numbers, started texting and calling regularly, and just like that, we began to connect on a deeper level. With Zoe, I felt at ease. I felt like I could trust her. She became someone I could see a future with, someone who could help me rebuild, and someone who might become a mother figure for my daughter. When our bond had grown strong enough, I decided to share my story with her. I told her about my fall from grace, about how I lost everything. I explained how I had a daughter I wanted to bring back into my life. I told her what I wanted from the future, what kind of relationship I was hoping for. And then, with a deep breath, I said, "I think you're the one I can build this life with." Her face lit up, and I could tell those words meant something to her. But then, unexpectedly, she said, "Thank you for your trust and those kind words. I wish I could say the same, but I don't even know how to put it. I'm married." "Wait, you're married?" I asked, stunned. "Then, what am I? Just a fling?" She paused, clearly thinking it over. "Listen, I haven't been with my husband for a long time. We just share an apartment, like roommates. We sleep in different rooms, cook separately, barely talk except for the everyday stuff. I spend most of my evenings with you and my husband. He hasn't once asked where I am, who I'm with. He couldn't care less, and frankly, neither do I." "Then, why don't you divorce him?" I asked, bewildered. "We've been together for almost 30 years, she said softly. "We have kids, a whole history. We're just stuck in a routine, you know. It's hard to break free." "Why didn't you say something sooner?" I asked, feeling a mix of frustration and confusion. "I didn't think things would go this far," she replied, looking uncomfortable. "I didn't want to drop that bomb on you. I thought it would be easier to get a quiet divorce without dragging you into all of this. I'm sorry you had to find out like this. Just give me some time, and I promise I'll get the divorce. I'll handle it." I was taken aback, my mind racing. I wasn't ready to be someone's affair, someone's secret. But as I listened to her, I started to understand. There really did seem to be nothing left between her and her husband. She'd been spending so much time with me, and I hadn't seen a single message or call from him. No shared photos, no signs of a connection. I didn't know what the right thing was, but I wanted to believe her. I agreed to give her the time she needed to sort things out. Days turned into weeks, and our relationship grew deeper. We spent more and more time together, But I started noticing something that unsettled me. Zoe began asking for more. Money for new shoes, a down jacket, things like that. I didn't mind spending on her, but something didn't sit right. Was she really mine? The whole situation with her husband still felt unresolved, and it gnawed at me. We lived in a small town, and the secrecy was starting to get to me. I couldn't introduce her to my friends, couldn't even take her out in public. It felt like we were constantly hiding. Over a month had passed, and I was running out of patience. So I asked her point blank. It's either me or him. She promised she'd talk to him, promised me things would change. A few days later I asked, "Did you talk to your husband yet?" She told me she had, but that he wasn't willing to give her a divorce. He didn't want to let go. She needed more time to figure things out with him. More weeks passed, and there was still no resolution. That's when I decided to take matters into my own hands. I waited outside her building one evening, feeling a surge of determination. When he came out, I approached him. "Samuel, right?" I said, trying to sound calm. "We need to talk." He stopped in his tracks, looking at me with a frown. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Owen," I replied, meeting his eyes. "Your wife has told you about me. I want to know why you're not giving me a divorce. What's the hold-up? Zoe doesn't want to be with you anymore. I'm telling you straight." "You're out of your mind." He snapped at me, cutting me off. "Which Owen? What divorce? What the hell do you want from me?" His tone shifted, and I could see the realization starting to hit him. We both stood there, frozen for a moment, just staring at each other, before we settled into a more composed, straightforward conversation. It turned out Zoe hadn't said a word to her husband about us. She'd been playing me all along, lying about getting a divorce, and had been cheating on him with me. She promised me things that weren't even true, but now everything was out in the open. Things quickly spiraled for Zoe. Her husband filed for divorce on his own and kicked her out of their home. She got fired from her job. She worked at a pharmacy owned by a friend of her husband. And once the rumors spread, there was no way she could stay. Not long after, Zoe called me, and that's when I saw her for who she really was. She was shouting into the phone, practically hysterical. "What did you do? Who told you to go talk to him? Why did you go to my husband? You're the one who's ruined everything for me." I didn't even let her finish. I just hung up on her. I didn't feel an ounce of guilt. A few years ago, I'd never have believed a woman could be capable of this kind of betrayal, but in this moment, my conscience was clear.